1960s, and he finished his tour in the Navy. Then he began working in building tractors in his hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So going from building tractors to coming to North Dakota and being an arborist, that's quite a leap. But you know, he came out to North Dakota for a wedding in Strasburg, and he decided to go with some friends on a weekend, and there he met his wife. And they were married, and he went back to Milwaukee, and then he decided to get a job with the Milwaukee arborists. So he took care of the trees in the city of Milwaukee. Now Milwaukee is a very large community, and if you ever get a chance to go there, I recommend it. It's a beautiful town, lots of trees, beautiful zoo. It's on Lake Michigan. It's got a beautiful lakefront. So it's a great place. But then Don decided he wanted to come back to North Dakota. So he moved his family back here. He had his daughter Shanann and his son Joe, and they came back to North Dakota. And he began working at a place called Porter Brothers. And Porter Brothers is where they do a lot of metal recycling and scrap metal. And he worked there for about a year, and he met with the city forester, Paul Blumhardt. And he told Paul that he used to work for the city of Milwaukee. He was an arborist from there, and Paul hired him on the spot. He said, "Boy, I could use a good man like you." So that's how Don got his start with the city of Bismarck. And he was a great employee. We always had a lot of fun with Don. I got to work with Don from 1989 until he retired in 2006. And we always had a lot of good times. You know, sometimes I think about work, and you're pretty young yet. You maybe haven't had big jobs yet, but maybe you do some help around the house. And sometimes you're helping your mom and dad out, or friends or relatives. It might seem like, boy, this is no fun. But as you get older, if you can follow what you enjoy doing, like Don did, become an arborist or do something that you want to do, a lot of times work can be fun, and you can really enjoy your life. And as a municipal arborist, you know, you don't always get to be put up high on a pedestal. I mean, they're the hard workers. They're the guys that are out there in the storms, picking up the trees, getting them off the streets that have fallen down, or out of a park that has failed, or off of a house or a car. Or he's pruning trees on the streets of Bismarck so that they can continue to grow up to be strong and healthy and not hit car roofs when they're driving by, right? Planted a lot of trees. I don't know how many trees Don planted. I tried to go back in our records and get a number. It's thousands of trees. Many of the trees in the older parks in town, Don touched in one way or another. He either planted that tree or he pruned that tree. So Don, as an arborist, spent his whole life taking care of trees. And an arborist is a specialized person. He had to learn a lot about trees and what trees need to stay healthy. What kind of insects and disease affect the trees, how a tree is supposed to grow, what its natural shape and form is supposed to be like, how to properly prune or correct something wrong with the tree so he wasn't hurting the tree. And sometimes, if the tree became dangerous or had to be removed, if it died, Don had to have the expertise and the knowledge to know just how to remove that tree safely and not injure other trees or other people or other property. So there's a lot to being an arborist. And I guess what I'm trying to say is Don was a great arborist for us. That's why we're honoring him today. Bismarck was lucky to have Don. He mentored a lot of our new arborists as they came online. He would show them what he had learned and teach them what he knew, and he was always happy to do that. In conclusion, I'm just going to wrap up, and today as we dedicate this bur oak tree to Don, I'm reminded of his commitment to our city's urban forest as a municipal arborist. Don's selflessness and devotion to serve the good of the people by creating a safe urban forest will live on long after we are gone from this planet. Don didn't plant and care for those trees for himself. He did it for the future generations of those who call Bismarck a great city and their home. And it's because of people like Don that we're able to say that Bismarck is truly an urban forest oasis on an endless sea of prairie. So Don, thank you again for all those years that we worked together and all the work that you did in the city of Bismarck, taking care of the urban forest. And would you like to come up, maybe say a few words, Don? Or come on up. His family is here. His daughter Shanann, his son Joe, and his grandchildren. I recognize some of them. They used to come with Don when he'd do tree plantings on Arbor Day. I can remember, and they're all grown up now. So I'll give the microphone over to Don, see if he's got some wisdom to share. There you go, Don.
I don't know gotta just love the work. You start out a little bit and then you just stick with it. And I had 12 years experience in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Formal training there, and couldn't ask for a better career to go into. So I have these young people here. If you want to be out in the nature, consider being a forester, because it's really worth it. I mean, I all my years, I think it comes to 37 years, and it's wonderful. You know, it's really nice to be. What inspired me, I was working in manufacturing, and I decided when I would take a day off, I'd go to the park, and I asked the guy that was working in the park, how do you get a job like this? You know, and the guy says, well, he says, it's not, you know, a lot of these jobs are taken pretty fast, but he says they're hiring arborists. I said, well, what's an arborist? You know, and then he told me he was a tree trimmer. So I gave it a shot. I went down and signed up, and lo and behold, they called me in for an interview, and I went through all of that with no problems at all. Out of 68 or 69 people, I think my number was like 4. And they hired 10, so I was in that group. And I love it. From day one, I probably in 3 years I was straw bossing, because what I was taught for what I learned, I learned it well, and it wasn't hard for me to get people to fall in line or come along and do what I was doing. Some people come to work for a paycheck, and I came to work and liked what I was doing. And I think that oak tree they're planting, that's a beautiful tree. And I'm thankful that somebody turns around and looks, because it's all hard work. And I don't think there's an arborist out there that are actually looking for recognition. They're just doing what they're doing. And they love it. You know, so I'm gonna hand this back to Jeff, and I'm overwhelmed here.
Thanks, Don. Thanks for the good words. Congratulations, Don. Okay, I'm ready to hand it over, I think, back to Commissioner Beatty. Thanks, everyone, for coming.